For this morning's show, what I want to do is look at this whole idea of a crash. And, there's a lot of folks that keep talking about a crash. I don't think a crash is going to happen, but I do think we're going to get a setback. And even if you don't believe in a crash, or even if you're not unsure about a setback, I've been saying over and over for more than 5-6 weeks now, the risk reward simply doesn't favor you taking long positions at this point. Now, if you're trading in and out on a daily basis, maybe a day or two, you can get away with that. That's fine. And there's a lot of opportunities. A lot of things are moving huge. But at the same time, for a longer term perspective, if I'm talking, weeks, I don't think the risk reward is there. And I've said that over and over. And I want to show you why. And so let's use the Dow here. I've actually got the Dow up. And what I want to show you is just this whole idea of, how do you get a crash? Well, you get a crash when you get multiple swing point breaks on multiple time frames. And so if I look at the Dow, here's a swing point. You would have to get a break of these down here, which match this one up there. And so you're not going to get a crash unless you at least have that condition. But that's only a necessary, not a sufficient condition. In other words, it could happen, you still going to get a crash. And that's important to recognize that distinction. So in other words, you can know when the conditions are present, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? Even if it starts to break down, but it does tell you that that's possibilities on the table. And when the possibilities on the table, you should be more safe. And so if we look at this and we ask ourselves, what's this breakdown scenario? You've got two co-located swing point lows here, right? It's already tested into them. It didn't have a lot of volume on the test. If you bring it across, you can see that it wasn't there. But then again, it keeps hitting them, or it looks like it's going to. It's going to hit it again this morning, it looks like. If we go over and look at these, you got two co-located swing point lows down here as well, which happen to be this one. And so if I could imagine a scenario where I come in, I crack this, and because there's probably going to be stops down here, I'm going to get a little momentum, hit this area, probably bounce back up. That would be a bearish retest regen off of these two, which will almost certainly turn it back down again. And then you get the break of those and the break of this one. That's how you get the potential for a crash. But still, I don't think you're going to get a crash. I think you're going to get a setback. I keep believing that's what's coming. And I'm going to go to the S&P now. And here you've got two co-located swing point lows as well. It's going to test these again this morning, it looks like. If it does, the next level's down here. But if you look over here, your swing point low is way down here. And so you're going to have to go a lot lower to get to that. And so you're just trying to break this little ledge. Now, breaking this ledge is important because there will be stops down there, and this has been a range for a very long time. And so if you break this range, you're going to get some momentum to the downside. But that doesn't mean you're going to get a crash. You're just going to get a setback probably. As a matter of fact, the market's telling you that it's weakening. Look, your swing point highs are lower. This is probably going to be one as well. You got a low, a low, a low, a low. What are they? They're all lower, right? So it's telling you the direction is this way on this time frame. It's just not breaking down yet over here on the weekly. But that seems to be coming, right? You had this long rounding type top that's taking place. And so when I look at it from that perspective, this is not a place that I want to be adding a lot of exposure. There's too much risk. And that's what I keep saying, right? There's a lot of risk out here and not a lot of reward, because your reward, your topside reward says that you're going to have to break over this, right? And then get some extension to the top side. Well, you've already had a huge run, folks. This is consolidation. If it goes on long enough, right, and usually if it's wide enough, then you can make your next move. But you need usually you're not going to get, let's say it this way, and let me blow this up so you can see it better, because extension here has been so long and so big. You're not usually going to get a consolidation that's in that tight of a range. We're talking about a very tight range, 150 points, 200 points. That's That's a very tight range. Dow, not the Dow, but the S&P moves, 40 points a day. So to stay in that range for this amount of time in terms of weeks, I mean, we're going on 3 months. That's a very tight range, and that's probably not going to hold. And more than likely, it's going to push to the downside. And so put up your retest regen. Where's the potential drawback? It's way down here off this swing point high. That's the buy. But that's a long way down. We're talking about 12, 13%. This is like maybe 3.5%, 4%. But let's talk about something that could happen that really would be a potential crash. Notice this swing point low, and I'm on the monthly, right? If you count the 6 bars up, right, that it's going to end up being this bar. Well, what is the low there? 65.21. It's the same low that we see on the weekly. So if we were to go 2 more months up here, right, and then break this, whoa, now that would be something, right? That would say that your long-term trend has changed. That would say that you're going back here. That would say that this swing point low breaks as well, right? And that would get you some gusto to the downside. Of course, at that point, it would probably a bounce, but you have the potential for something much larger in that particular case. But that's hypothetical, right? That's 2 months down the road. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. Right now, retrace. How deep? We don't know. Expand this range? More than likely. Will it break this low? Will it even test it? Don't know. If it doesn't, and we go 2 months, then it breaks, got a bigger problem. That's the way it looks to me. We're probably going to see the same thing that we've seen before, and that is that this market is going to try and bounce. We're going to see traders come in, try to trade it back to the top side. That's the general. Everybody knows the Fed, quote unquote, has its back, and they're going to keep trading that until the door gets so small and everybody tries to bust through it at once, and then you got a problem. All right, thank you. Have a great one. I'll see you next time.